Coach's Corner this week, we have a special edition of this series, and we are pleased to be joined by the new athletic director of West Virginia State University, Mr. David Hicks. David, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Taylor.
So you're a Chapmanville native. You come back home after being down at King University. Just kind of walk me through what's it been like for you just to be back home here in West Virginia?
You know, it's been great. This is a tremendous part of the country with a lot of great people. You get just amazing amounts of community support. You know, I've obviously know very well the history and traditions of West Virginia State, so it's exciting from that standpoint. And, you know, on a personal level, I've been able to reconnect with a lot of folks that, you know, I'd stayed in touch with through the years, but had lost some contact with a little bit. But it's really been great. I love this area, this part of the country, and really some of the best people in the world.
When you look at just this not only this university, but this area, I know it's just a very short commute for you just going back home down to Chapmanville, but when you look at this and you were going through the process of possibly being hired and the interview process, what really stood out to you about this area of Kanawha County?
It's just a tremendous opportunity. You know, West Virginia State as an institution plays such a vital role in educating young people in this area and providing opportunities for area high school graduates to continue their education and get a college degree, and to do it in a very economical manner. You know, there's a lot out there about the cost of higher education and the rising prices. West Virginia State continues to offer, you know, very, very reasonable costs, and it's just an opportunity. And to be able to use athletics to offer those opportunities and be able to offer some scholarships and continue to give young women and young men the opportunity to get a college degree, make their lives better. You know, I'm a first-generation college student. I love my parents. Worked really hard to give me the opportunities, but getting a college degree really changed the trajectory of my life, and it's something that I've been passionate about, and I think West Virginia State plays a vital role in this whole region in giving kids those opportunities.
Normally whenever an administrator, whether it be in athletics or just an overall university or school environment, when they make a move, they have to feel comfortable with that. Now that you've kind of gotten a little over a month under your belt, you took over the job on June 17th. Do you kind of start feeling comfortable about this new position?
More and more every day. There's a lot to learn. You know, college athletics is complex at smaller institutions when you're dealing with budgets and scholarships and fundraising, you know, conferences, scheduling models. It's very, very complex. And every day I learn something that I either didn't know or something that I didn't know that I didn't know. But, you know, I'm getting more and more comfortable. You know, the good thing is I know what I need to know. Those are not always just as simple as reading something or having a meeting, as you learn how processes work and how they work differently at different institutions. But getting more and more comfortable, just getting excited. Honestly, we're about a week away from football showing up, about 2 weeks away from soccer and cross country and volleyball, and really just getting excited for our student athletes to come back. I mean, that's the best part of this job.
When you talk about just the budget, I know we'll talk about that here in a couple of minutes, but you're 25 years in college athletics. You know, how have you kind of seen it grow? I know the easy answer is obviously the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness and revenue sharing and all that stuff, but just from your perspective, how has this college journey for you kind of molded you and evolved into who you are now? Yeah,
you know, for me, as far as who I am, it's really about providing student athletes with a meaningful experience and giving them something that they're going to remember 25, 30 years from now. They can look back on their time as a college athlete at West Virginia State and say, hey, that was meaningful, it changed my life. And I think that's what you hear when I talk to alums, and I've met, you know, a few dozen alums just out in the community. When I wear West Virginia State gear, they'll either recognize my face or name or just ask. And they talk about what a great experience they had here. And for me, that's what it's about. And that's why, you know, funding and identifying funding sources to continue to be able to provide those experiences and just make meaningful experiences for them and give our coaches a chance to have an impact. You know, your college years are the most meaningful really, I think, of your life as far as developing into who you become as a young woman or a young man. And the opportunity for our coaches to have a role in helping shape and direct and mentor these young people is vital, and I think that's a huge part of their development.
Now that you're at West Virginia State, what are some ways that you and your office are now starting to tackle keeping West Virginia State relevant in regards to this revenue sharing or maybe even the name, image, and likeness world?
Yeah, you've really got to be very nimble and be able to adapt quickly, because that changes almost daily. And there's a trickle-down effect. We're not impacted nearly as much as they are at the Division I level and the Power 4 level, but there's a trickle-down effect, and there are expectations that student athletes have now that they can generate some revenue off of name, image, and likeness. So for us, it's really just about continuing to generate revenue, identify new revenue sources, be that through fundraising, sponsorships, ticket sales, whatever that is. So it's about providing the student athletes with just a great experience. We want them playing in front of big crowds. We want people to be excited about coming and watching them. We've got a great product, very talented young women and young men, and we need to continue to identify additional resources, funding in the community to help provide that. I mean, we get great support from the university, but again, you're always looking for that edge, and as with every institution out there, I mean, I read daily about the Division I programs that are still looking for new revenue sources, and that's just part of the game right now.
Along that line, do you think that your imagination kind of has to evolve in a standpoint of, you mentioned trying to find new ways to generate revenue. Does your imagination suddenly have to expand and adapt to new things that arise with revenue, with generating revenue? Yeah,
you've always got to be creative. You've got to never be afraid to try something and fail. I played baseball, high school and college, and I've got a little statue or whatever on my desk, and it says you can't steal second base with your foot on first. So I think you've always got to be willing to try something new, try something innovative. If it doesn't work, you move on to the next one. But just finding those new revenue sources, those new partnerships that can benefit the community, the individual, or the company that's supporting us, and the university.
You mentioned the C word in community, and this is a university, just from what I've seen as a reporter, this is a community that rallies behind West Virginia State University, and they're very passionate about the Yellow Jackets, regardless of the sport. How often do you kind of have to rally the community together and really get behind these programs despite what's going on out on the competitive field?
Even in 4 weeks here, I can already sense the amount of support that we have from the community around just the greater Kanawha Valley, but also from our alumni. There's just been a just upswelling of support just for me personally, but also for our programs. And we need to pay that back. I mean, I know our student athletes have been good in the past about getting out in the community and serving and giving back, but that's something that I want to increase. I want to be a lot more visible in the community and have them just go out and give back and offer a little something in return.
You mentioned being visible, and you're still fairly new in this position. Again, only just a little over a month since assuming this role. How do you go about becoming more visible as a new person in this new area?
Honestly, it's things like this. I mean, just the more people that see me and get to know me, I've been as visible as I can as far as just meeting people and introducing myself. It's really kind of just been amazing. I mean, any place that I am, I was walking through Lowe's last night, and I had a West Virginia State shirt on, and a young man stopped me who was an alum. People recognize the logo, they recognize the name, and as you said, that they love this university. And I'm anxious to get out there. I've been to Rotary Club meetings and have a few other things like that on my schedule. But just the opportunity to get out and just shake hands with people and let folks know that we're here, that we're serving an important mission to help provide opportunities to young people to get an education, and we'd love for a lot of people to come alongside us.
One of the things that you accomplished at King University was managing a $2.9 million budget. Kind of talk to me about that. How did that kind of work and flow in regards to an annual budget? How did that kind of work and
Well,
grow?
you know, the biggest challenge, honestly, has been in the last 5 to 6 years because costs of goods are increasing faster than budgets are increasing. And, you know, just in transportation alone, you know, you've seen about a somewhere between a 30 and 50% increase in the price of charter buses and rentals, and you know, hotel rooms have gone up, and those things. You know, you think about taking a family in a hotel room that used to cost you $90 now costs you $120. Well, we'll think how that applies to a football team. You know, and again, you've had some budget increases here and there, but you know, West Virginia State, King, University of Charleston, every place in the every small school in the country is you know, challenged a little bit with their budgets, and you know, you've just got to figure out where are our priorities and where do we need to prioritize spending our money to create the best student-athlete experience. So you shift some resources. I mean, there are things that you've done in the past that you don't do, and there's maybe some new things that you try because maybe it either helps you generate money or it creates a different experience.
Along that line, what are some ways you guys are starting to prioritize spending money and what needs to be spent on?
You know, my priority is always on giving student athletes the best possible experience. I mean, I want to make sure that they know that they're loved, that they're appreciated. So anything that we spend on is, hey, are we making the student athlete experience better with this? And you know, without getting into a lot of specifics, if you looked at our budgets, I think you would see that that's where we're spending, you know, the majority of our resources. Let's make sure that they have the gear they need, the equipment they need to the best that we can, the facilities that they need, that they get to compete, and they get to compete in a manner that gives them the best opportunity to win.
Outside of what we've discussed so far in this interview, what are some other challenges that you see potentially arising in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, the biggest challenge right now is honestly the transfer portal. You know, that's really transformed the way college athletics looks. You know, 7, 8 years ago, a young woman or a young man would walk on this campus and you know, 90% of them would say, hey, I'm going to graduate from West Virginia State. Now that paradigm has shifted, and you know, some of them still do that, but a lot of them they walk on campus thinking, hey, if I have a great year, maybe there's a Division I school out there. And you know, there are folks at Division III schools or at NAIA schools that have that same mindset. So we've had to be very nimble, not just, well, West Virginia State certainly, but all across Division II. You've had to be very nimble and be willing to change some philosophies and just play the game by the rules that are out there, you know, whether we like them or not. I mean, there's been a huge trickle-down effect just from the Division I level of that.
Continuing along with that, you know, with Division I, we see so often just the mass exodus that we see, whether it be with a new coach or a coach staying another year. I know we've seen that just from Mountaineer fans have seen that with the WVU football program having over 70 new faces.
Yeah.
Do you think that's one of the biggest challenges that you see at the Division I level? I mean, I know you mentioned the trickle-down effect, but is that the biggest issue right now that we're seeing in collegiate athletics, is trying to retain players and sustain them for a long period of time? Yeah,
I mean, and at its core, it's no different at WVU than it is West Virginia State, because as a coach, you're trying to build a culture. You know, you want a culture. You do things a certain way in your program. You have certain standards. You have certain expectations. And you build cultures on your values. And when you have a lot of turnover, you don't have that core of 70% of your team that already understands your culture, that already buys into your values. So you're having to reteach that every year. And again, that's no different, again, WVU, West Virginia State, or Hurricane High School. You know, as a coach, you're trying to build that culture. So it certainly creates a lot of challenges in that respect. You know, you think about little things, just as far as if you're a baseball team, you know, how you teach things like bunt defenses, or if you're a football team, the type of offense you run. You're having to reteach that to a lot of kids. But again, you're also looking at what are program and our team's core values? And do we get people who buy into that? And you've got to work a lot harder to get buy-in when oftentimes 50% or 60% of your team is new every year.
From what you've heard from coaches, whether it be at King University or here, do you think that word culture has taken on a different form in the last 10 years per se than what we've seen lately?
I don't know that it's taken on a different form. I think it's caused coaches to have to look at it a little differently. You know, I mean, listen, even the Nick Sabans of the world will talk about culture, and they do what they do to impact people's lives, and they want to mentor these young men, and that's true of every coach at West Virginia State. It's true of every coach at King University or any place else. You know, certainly you're trying to win, but ultimately you're here to impact the lives of young men and young women. You know, there's no coaches at West Virginia State or most Division II schools getting rich. Most of them can make more money doing something else, but they're here to impact young people's lives. And they've really had to change how they do that, because you may not have a student athlete for 4 years. You might have them for 1, 2, or 3, or you know, you may have a student athlete that comes in and they may come in as a junior or senior. You know, transfers have always been part of it, but you're just seeing, as you said, more and more transfers becoming part of it. And coaches have had to adjust how they build that culture and what their expectations are, but it's still for the coaches about you know, using sport to impact young people's lives.
With the fall season right around the corner, we'll talk about your excitement level here in just a second, but just there's a new leader on the women's soccer side. Just kind of walk me through just your excitement. What's your excitement level leading into the fall season, and what are you prepared for?
Well, look, our women's soccer program, Mountain East Conference champions last year. We've got a lot of those young women back. And, you know, Jake Edwards, he's coached at the Division I and Division II level. He's been a head coach in England, where he's from. Just brings a tremendous amount of soccer knowledge, but also just an understanding and a passion for, you know, just investing in our young women and creating that culture that's going to be a championship culture. I mean, I can't wait to see him get to work. He's already hard at work. You know, I'm texting, emailing with him almost daily, and I know we're going to go out there and put a great product on the field and make another run at a championship.
Football-wise, you know, again, that's a program that a lot of people rally behind on game days. What's your excitement level? Where's your head at leading into the upcoming football season?
You know, I was telling somebody earlier this week, we did not have football at King, so it's been 14 years since I've been on a campus, college campus with football, and I'm incredibly excited about it. You know, John Pennington is just an incredible role model and motivator of young men. He runs a tremendous program, and we've got a lot of talent coming back. I mean, I think it doesn't, you know, I can look at stat sheets and rosters and tell you the talent we've got coming back, some of the transfer talent we've got coming in, some of the freshmen we've got coming in. I mean, I think we're going to have just a tremendous year, and I think we're going to surprise some people, because there's, you know, we lost a few kids to the transfer portal, but not what a lot of other schools lost, and we've got most of our impact players back. So I'm incredibly excited about going down close to my old stomping grounds down there at Carson Newman on August 30th, and you know, getting the season kicked off.
Now, one final question before I let you go. Favorite food spot that you've been at since you got back home?
You know, I would be lying if I didn't tell you that the first probably 2 weeks I was here, I probably ate at Geno's 5 or 6 times. You know, pizza is one of those things. I tell people I've never had bad pizza,
right,
but I've had some that's better than others. And you know, I've not lived in West Virginia for 30-some years, and would get it maybe not even every visit. So yeah, 2 weeks I probably ate at Geno's 5 or 6 times. I think since then I've been once. But
Tudor's as well, I would assume.
I love Tudor's. Yeah.
What's your go-to order?
I think that those first couple of weeks I was bouncing back and forth. You know, I get a lot of different things at Tudor's. I mean, I think I get something different just about every time. It's all good.
I like it.
Same thing at Geno's. I mean, I'll get a pizza, or I'll get one of their Publiches, or their subs or something. It's all good, and you know, I enjoy the fact that there's one a mile and a half down the road.
Well, absolutely. Well, David, thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was great information that you provided for us in regards to the future of West Virginia State athletics. So thank you for your time and look forward to seeing what you guys accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you.
That's Mr. David Hicks, the new West Virginia State University Athletic Director. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Gaz Mail Sports. That's GAZ Mail Sports. Be sure to follow us on Facebook as well at HD Media Sports and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Charleston Gazette Mail.